Welcome back to Nation of Glory. Today, we bring you the unforgettable story of a man who was never meant to fit the Hollywood mold, but who instead carved out a legacy as one of the greatest actors in American cinema. This is the journey of Eugene Allen Hackman, known to the world as Gene Hackman, a performer whose intensity, grit, and authenticity made him one of the most respected and admired actors of all time. His story is one of persistence, late-blooming success, and a lifelong dedication to the truth of character. Gene Hackman was born on January 30, 1930, in San Bernardino, California. His childhood was far from glamorous. His father, Eugene Ezra Hackman, worked as a pressman for a newspaper, while his mother, Annalida, cared for the family. Gene grew up during the Great Depression, a time of struggle for so many American families. When Gene was just a young boy, his parents' marriage crumbled, and his father walked out, leaving Gene with deep scars and a feeling of abandonment that would follow him for much of his life. That sense of loss, of being left behind, later became part of the emotional intensity he poured into his roles. As a teenager, Hackman moved often, living in different parts of the country. He wasn't the star student, and he certainly wasn't the golden boy destined for success. He often found himself in trouble at school, restless and searching for something greater. At just 16 years old, he lied about his age, and enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps. The military became his escape, his way of breaking free from the difficulties of his youth. For several years, Hackman served as a field radio operator, stationed in China, Japan, and Hawaii. The discipline of the Marines shaped him, but it also reminded him of his hunger for more. When his service ended, Hackman drifted for a while. He tried his hand at different jobs: radio, television production, even door-to-door sales, but nothing stuck. He knew, deep down, that he was meant to perform. Acting became his calling, though the world wasn't ready to embrace him yet. He enrolled at the Pasadena Playhouse in California, a school known for producing actors. But Gene didn't look like the typical leading man. He wasn't polished, wasn't glamorous, and his instructors saw him as talentless. They even voted him least likely to succeed. Imagine that, one of the greatest actors of all time being dismissed by his teachers. But Gene Hackman refused to give up. In the late 1950s, Hackman moved to New York, where he shared an apartment with another struggling actor, Dustin Hoffman. At the time, both were broke, hungry, and filled with dreams. They faced constant rejection, going to auditions that led nowhere. Hackman often worked odd jobs just to survive. But every time he stepped on stage, people noticed something raw, something undeniable. He wasn't polished, but he was real. He carried life experience in his eyes, and audiences could feel it. His big break came slowly. Hackman began with small stage productions and eventually landed minor television roles. Then, in 1964, he made his credited film debut in Lilith, a psychological drama. Though it wasn't a starring role, it was enough to get his foot in the door. Over the next few years, Hackman's reputation grew. He was cast in Bonnie and Clyde in 1967, playing Buck Barrow, the brother of Clyde Barrow. The film became a cultural phenomenon, and Hackman's performance earned him his first Academy Award nomination. Suddenly, the man once labeled least likely to succeed was being recognized as one of the most promising talents in Hollywood. But success didn't come easy. Hackman was never interested in being a movie star in the glamorous sense. He didn't chase fame or tabloids. He cared only about the work. He wanted roles that challenged him, characters that felt real. Throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s, he took on a variety of roles, always proving his ability to disappear into character. And then came the role that would define his career. In 1971, Gene Hackman starred as Detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in The French Connection. The film was gritty, raw, and unlike anything audiences had seen before. Hackman's portrayal of Doyle, a tough, flawed, relentless cop, was electrifying. He wasn't a clean-cut hero. He was rough, morally ambiguous, and utterly believable. Hackman's performance earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. Overnight, he became one of the most sought-after actors in the world. The success of The French Connection cemented Hackman's place in Hollywood, but he never let it change him. He continued to choose roles based on substance rather than glamour. Films like The Conversation 1974, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, showcased his ability to bring depth to quiet, introspective characters. Hackman wasn't just a tough guy, he was an actor capable of incredible subtlety, of showing the fragility beneath the surface. Through the 1970s and 1980s, Hackman delivered one powerhouse performance after another. He played villains, heroes, fathers, politicians, and everyday men. His versatility was unmatched. In Superman 1978, he played the iconic villain, Lex Luthor, with both menace and charm. In Mississippi Burning 1988, he delivered a moving portrayal of an FBI agent investigating racial violence, a role that earned him another Oscar nomination. But Hackman was not just about critical acclaim. He also had an incredible ability to connect with audiences. Whether in dramas, thrillers, or comedies, he always brought authenticity. He wasn't afraid to be unlikable, to play characters with flaws and contradictions. That's what made him so captivating. He reflected real life, not just Hollywood fantasy. The 1990s brought Hackman a new wave of success. In 1992, he starred in Clint Eastwood's western Unforgiven, playing the sadistic sheriff, Little Bill Daggett. His performance was chilling, powerful, and unforgettable. For this role, he won his second Academy Award, this time for Best Supporting Actor. Once again, Hackman proved that he could dominate the screen in any genre. Despite his success, Hackman remained humble. He often spoke about his struggles with self-doubt, about how he never felt entirely comfortable in the spotlight. He was a private man, avoiding Hollywood parties and preferring a quiet life with his family. Acting was his job, his craft, but it was never his identity. He valued his privacy above all else. As the years went on, Hackman continued to deliver remarkable performances in films like The Firm, Crimson Tide, Enemy of the State, The Royal Tenenbaums, and Runaway Jury. Even in his later years, he brought the same intensity and commitment to every role. Then, in 2004, after more than 4 decades in Hollywood, Hackman quietly retired from acting. There was no farewell tour, no big announcement. He simply stepped away, leaving behind a body of work that spoke louder than any words ever could. In retirement, Hackman pursued other passions. He became a novelist, co-writing several historical fiction books. He also enjoyed painting, and spending time with his family. Away from the spotlight, he found peace. For fans, his retirement was bittersweet. We longed for more of his performances, but we also respected his choice to live life on his own terms. Gene Hackman's story is not just about Hollywood success. It's about resilience, about proving the world wrong, about finding greatness through authenticity. He wasn't the typical leading man, and he didn't care to be. He was something much rarer, a true artist. He showed us that acting isn't about being glamorous, it's about being real. From a troubled boy in Depression-era America to a Marine searching for purpose, to a struggling actor, labeled least likely to succeed, Hackman became one of the most celebrated performers of his generation. His journey reminds us that it doesn't matter where you come from or what others say about you. What matters is the fire inside you, the persistence to keep going, and the courage to be yourself. Gene Hackman gave us characters we'll never forget. He gave us truth, raw and unfiltered. And though he may have stepped away from the screen, his legacy lives on in every performance, in every story, and in the countless actors he has inspired along the way. This has been the story of Eugene Allen Hackman, the man we know as Gene Hackman, one of Hollywood's finest. Thank you for watching Nation of Glory. If you enjoyed this journey through the life of one of cinema's greatest legends, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Stay with us for more inspiring stories of the icons who shaped Hollywood and touched our lives.